Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Abigail Joy, and this is The Pursuit of Joy.
Look at those palm trees, damn!
I've got some winter hacks for you because I live in Toronto. I know what it's like to go through those cold seasons, those low light seasons when you have an indoor jungle, just trying to keep those plants alive, let alone thrive. So I have 5 important hacks for you for keeping plants alive this winter. Let's get straight into it. Number 1, understand your light. Understand the lighting situation in your environment. Now, in the colder seasons, we do get a lot less amount of light. What I mean by that is not only are there more clouds and the sun isn't bright and the sun isn't as close to Earth during those seasons, it's also that we have shorter days. So our morning in terms of light starts later, and our afternoons in terms of light is a lot earlier. I mean, here in Toronto, it gets dark by 4 p.m. like half the time. So we have to be aware of how much light we're getting, how much light that those plants are getting for how much time per day. A lot of us that have to endure long winter months do decide to invest in grow lights. And I do have a few tips for you in terms of your lighting, so stay tuned for next week, because next week I will be going over winter indoor supplement lighting. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already and hit that notification bell so that you are notified when that video comes out. Now, after you've done number 1, you can move on to number 2, which is balance watering. I've used that word balance before, and I know maybe it gets old, but it is so imperative. Because our plants are getting a lot less light, we need to balance the amount of water we're giving them with the amount of light they're getting. Don't forget, both of those elements, light and water, are essential for the plant to photosynthesize. So if you're giving it too much water for the little amount of light it's getting in the winter, then your plant is not going to be happy and probably get root rot. So I do always recommend a water meter, especially for beginners, to figure out how your plant dries out or doesn't. But it is very important, whether you get one or not, to balance the amount of water and the amount of light that the plant is getting. Now, when you've done that, you can move on to number 3. Aerate that soil. I do not hear people talk about this enough, guys. I really don't. This is so important. I feel like at least half of the issues during the winter for plant owners are because the soil is not aerated and those roots are choking. They don't have oxygen. All they're getting is a little bit of water, maybe not the right amount of water because the soil is so compacted. And this one is for people especially that don't have good airflow in their homes, especially apartment dwellers. I know it's hard for us. I have fans in, I think, almost every room. Yes, every room. And I keep them going all the time. I don't always keep them on maximum, but I keep them going all the time. And I also try to get a draft going a couple of times a week, open up 2 windows and or doors to get an airflow going. That also helps in the winter in terms of humidity. If you have a humidifier running, I know in apartments with lack of airflow, stuff can get moldy. And so we need to constantly air out our apartment spaces. If you're in a house, obviously that doesn't really apply to you. You probably have way better airflow than we do. I'm jealous of you. Oh, house. No, that is not a tip in and of itself to have a humidifier, because there are other ways of also getting your humidity up, but something to think about in those winter months when we get cold air and very, very dry air as well, which your plants, most of your plants are probably not gonna like, because most of our plants are tropicals. We have to keep remembering that, guys. Most of our plants are used to a tropical environment. So it's great. I just try and create a tropical environment in here, and it's like I'm on vacation all the time. I love it. So yes, aerating that soil can relieve us of a lot of those issues. What do I mean by aerating the soil? Because not as many people talk about it, I haven't heard it talked about enough. Also, on the flip side of that, not enough beginner plant owners know about aerating your soil. There are a few ways to go about this. Now, if your plant is still in its nursery pot / any kind of plastic pot that is malleable, then you can go ahead and literally just squeeze around the sides, breaking up that soil, giving those roots some air. If it's not in a plastic pot, then you can actually go ahead and either with your water meter, if you have one, it's perfect for it, trust me, or grab a chopstick, something that doesn't have too pointy of an end, but that is strong enough and thin enough to go down into the soil a fair amount. Because just breaking up the topsoil might not be enough if you haven't aerated your soil for a long time. I would say 3 to 5 inches below at least. Obviously trying not to disturb the roots. Sometimes it happens though, and you know what? If your soil was so compacted, then the roots will be better off for it anyways. So, chopsticks / water meter, and then you can also just squeeze your plastic pot, guys. Squeeze your nursery pot. But I promise you that will help you greatly. And again, not enough people talk about it. So I'm telling you now, tip number 3, aerate that soil. You'll thank me. Now we move on to tip number 4. Clean those leaves. Yes, I know this is something that we all admire to do on a regular basis, but probably fall short of, I know myself included. However, it is extremely important, especially in the winter months. Again, going back to photosynthesis, the plant needs to be able to use that chlorophyll to create photosynthesis, to create energy for the plant. Essentially, it's food, right? So if we have a thick layer of dust or oil or whatever it may be, then those pores are clogged and it's not able to perform photosynthesis as nearly as efficiently. So it is important, especially because we do get dustier in the winter because we're not opening windows or doors as much in the winter. So keep on top of it. Keep those leaves clean. It will help you greatly in the winter, I promise. And sometimes it's just really nice to relax, and it's almost meditative, I find, to clean my leaves. And it feels real good after, and it looks real good after too. So number 4, clean those leaves. Which brings us to the last tip, tip number 5. My favorite number. Don't ask me why I have a favorite number. I've said before to you guys, I'm a weirdo, but apparently, I don't know. I was told as a kid that number 5 is a number for peace, and that's just kind of always stuck with me. So yeah, number 5 is my favorite number. I don't know. Anyway, number 5 is patience. Patience. Your plants are probably not going to thrive in the winter unless you are a dedicated plant parent and you've invested in humidifiers and grow lights, and you know that's your full-time hobby really. And as much as I admire those people, and I aspire to be one as well, you know, I have a couple humidifiers, I have fans going all the time, I'm trying, but we all need to remember that to keep a plant alive during a whole winter season is actually a success within itself. It really is. I can't tell you the amount of times that I have just let plants die in the winter because I couldn't be bothered. But on the flip side of that, to keep a plant alive into the spring is honestly, I mean, give yourself a pat on the back, give yourself a shiny, give yourself a shiny. I don't know whether you guys have ever heard that before. I'm from England. Shout out to my English people that got that. Anyways, yeah, it's important to be patient. Don't worry if your plant is not thriving. If it's surviving and it's staying alive, then you're doing your job. You're doing okay. You're doing good. You're doing good. And this video is coming out, oh my gosh, I don't even know what date it is right now, but this video will be coming out February of 2021. So if you're watching when it comes out, guys, we haven't got that much longer to go. We've got like a month and a half, okay? Actually, I think a little less, technically, till spring. Is it spring solstice? No, spring forward. There you go. Words, things in my head. I've told you guys before, I'm a mom. I'm doing this full time too. Sometimes I forget things. I'm also perma-fried. If you don't know what that means, then that's a good thing. Anyways, so be patient. So I will go over all those tips again for you just to conclude, just in case you didn't get them. If you have a pen and paper, get one now. Number 1, understand your light. Number 2, balance that amount of light during the winter with the amount of water that you are giving your plants. Extremely important. And number 3, aerate that soil. Again, not enough people talk about it. Number 3, in the winter, aerate that soil. Number 4, clean those leaves. Guys, I know it's easy to get lazy in the winter, but your plants can't afford for you to get lazy in the winter, to be completely honest. If you want a good looking indoor jungle, you need to clean those leaves on a regular basis. That brings me to the last one, be patient. Guys, we are almost through to spring. We've got just over a month to go. I'm reminding you because I know it's hard, not just when you've got plants, but just being a little bit depressed, even for those of us that don't deal with mental health situations. Even a quote-unquote normal person gets depressed during the winter too. It's a long time to go without all that light and all that warmth. And our plants feel the same. So let's be patient with them. Let's give them the best conditions possible so that they can survive through to the spring. And I wish you all well on your pursuit of joy. Remember, spring is around the corner. Cheers, guys. I'll see you next time. Peace. House, what am I looking for? Househood? I'm just thinking of parenthood, but with a house. All I know is I'm looking forward to it.
Look at those palm trees